This game was played between Lubomir Vtachnik, Czech grandmaster, and Ogden Cvitan, that's a Yugoslavian grandmaster. Game was played in 1997, not that long ago, 1997 in Germany. Well, let's look at the games. This is highly unusual and very beautiful combination. That's very beautiful combination, very unusual tactics, but typical plans and very, very instructive. d4, knight f6, knight f3, g6, c4. Lubomir Vtachnik is white. Bishop g7, knight c3, castles, e4, d6, bishop e2, e5, castles, knight c6, d5, knight e7, knight d2, knight e8. We see same position over and over, and now we're gonna look at this position played differently. b4, f5, c5. Now this is different from the other games we saw. Now white wants to go knight c4 and start active operations on the queen side right away. That's because black did not play c5. Now knight d2, they normally go c5, but f5 before and now c5, it's black's move. This is different plan for black. Now it's black's move, and they went knight f6 and on f3, f4. Familiar to us. We saw this pawn, exactly pawn structure with the pawns on c5 on b6. It's little different pawn structure, but basics of the position remain the same. Black wants to start kingside attack, and white wants to do the queenside attack. It's very typical. Well, here knight c4 was played and g5. Both sides on the way to execute their plan. a4, knight g6, bishop a3, potentially trying to put pressure on d6 pawn. Bishop a3, rook f7, b5. You see they attacking the d6 pawn. d takes c, bishop takes c5, h5. White already accomplished here a lot. They have some very good possibilities on the queen side. I would have played here queen b3 trying for d6, but white played a5 here. And after g4, they played b6. Still, it's very understandable and looks very strong for white. g3, and white went king h1. Well, h3 is very dangerous move, because after knight h4 there will be sacrifice possibilities with the bishop on h3, and also maybe even knight h7, knight g5 with the same idea. Black chose to play white chose to play king h1, knight h7, obviously preparing queen h4, d6, queen h4, and bishop to g1. It seems very safe for white here. And black made here highly unusual move, bishop to h3. Now here white completely overlooked black's idea. White played b takes c. This is disastrous. However, what should have been played is g takes h, queen takes h3, and rook f2, and after, to stop the g2 mate, and after rook f2, g takes f, bishop takes f2. White is not getting mated, and they have some possible counterplay on a queen side, but that was the only thing they could have done, because you will see now that in the game, after b takes c, there is one of the most beautiful combinations you can see here. Bishop takes g2, and from here everything is forced. It's a mate. It's a forced checkmate. King must take on g2. Queen h3 check. It's a very, very beautiful move. King h3 check, queen h3 check, must take on h3, because on king h1 is g2 checkmate. King must take on h3, knight g5 check. Only move is king g2, knight h4 check. Only move is king h1, and the checkmate g2. You see, the theme, I have not seen this theme, this type of conclusion of the combinations of attack, but when you have number of pieces attacking king, there all kind of things can be expected. And you see, it's another, in its second game already, we saw that black sacrifices queen for nothing to get white's king in mating net, because of the big concentration of black's pieces on the king side. Very beautiful game, not very well defended by white, but still very interesting game. This game, played in 1993 between Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov in Linares tournament, was one of the most fascinating games ever played, and it was King's Indian Zemish variation, d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, f3. Now, at that time, in the mid-90s, there was a lot of theoretical discussions and some novelties in the Zemish variation. This is a Zemish variation. And Karpov plays Zemish throughout all his career, and Kasparov played King's Indian for most of his life. But from time to time, against very strong players, Kasparov switched to Queen's Gambit, or sometimes he played Grünfeld defense. Here, he decided to play King's Indian. Bishop e3, e5, knight ge2. Well, of course, one of the main moves is d5, but knight g2 was very competitive moves. White tried to keep center. It does not like to close the center, to keep it open. And after knight g2, c6, queen d2, knight bd7, we got a very familiar position for this variation. The main move is castle, but then black has certain chances for attack on the queen side. Karpov's novelty was rook d1. If white castled instead, black would have played a6 and b5. But Karpov played rook d1, hoping to castle later on a king side, and also try to put some pressure on the d file. a6, black has to stick with the same plan, like going b5. and d takes e. Here, maybe d5 was okay, good move, best move in this position, but it was highly inconsistent. If white wanted to play d5, why would white go rook d1? So, being consistent, but not necessarily correct, Karpov played d takes e, knight takes e5. Notice that after d takes c and c5, white will have static position, the kind of position Karpov likes, and also with the space advantage. Obviously, it's not in Kasparov style. On d takes e, knight takes e5. And in this position, well, there is a move knight c1, a possible move, but then black simply goes bishop e6, attacking c4. So Karpov played b3. After b3, black played b5. Well, this was novelty. Rook d1 move was novelty, but I'm almost 100% sure, but it was not novelty. It was not new to Kasparov. He was prepared for it. Now, after b5, c takes b, a takes b, queen takes d6, and knight f to d7. Well, here is the position, very typical sometimes for King's Indian. White won a pawn, but white is way behind in development. King is uncastled, and they need several moves to castle in this position, and black will not give white this opportunity. f4. Now, maybe it was better to go queen d2 and try to scramble through the middle game for the hope of castling. But f4 was played, and now Karpov played b4. That's a very strong move. Well, I am sure that till this point it was everything analyzed by Kasparov. However, that was the new position that we see. It was new position to Karpov. And after b4, white played knight b1. Now, what would have happened if white played knight a4? Now, knight a4, I think rook takes a4 is very powerful move. And if b takes a, now black goes knight c4, forcing white for queen d3 and knight b2. Now black is going to get their exchange back, leaving white with completely broken pawn structure. So in this position, Karpov chose knight b1. Black still has to prove that they have enough initiative, because black is not completely developed themselves, so they have enough initiative for missing central pawn. Knight g4, and bishop to d4. Now, bishop g1 is another possibility, but black, again, even after bishop g1, black has tremendous initiative after rook takes a2. Well, bishop d4, it's a more challenging move. And after bishop d4, bishop takes d4, queen takes d4. And now black plays rook a2. Let's assess this position. In this position, black got their pawn back, but Black is ahead in development, but black's pieces such as knight on g4, knight on d7, rook on a2, they are not coordinating. Therefore, development advantage is not as decisive as it's supposed to be normally when pieces coordinate. Now, after rook takes a2, h3 was played. Black went c5, and white went queen g1. Now, what would have happened on queen d3? On queen d3, bishop a6, and white is completely winning here. Black is completely winning. And on queen takes d7, and on queen takes d7, queen h4, check, g3, rook takes e2, check, bishop takes e2, and queen takes g3 will be totally devastating. So that did not happen. So in this position, this is the position where Karpov played queen to g1. Now knight g to f6. Pawn is hanging on e4, e5, and knight to e4. This is very rare position after, well, queen h4 is a threat. White cannot move knight c1 or some move to chase away the black's rook, because queen h4 check will be there. So Karpov played h4, c4. Well, if bc, then b3 and queen a5 will be extremely dangerous. At this point, my opinion that white is completely lost. It's not only my opinion, it's everybody's opinion. Knight to c1. Now, this is absolutely unique position if we point this in chess, especially played on the highest level. Every piece of white is on a first rank. This is highly and there is almost no position when it can be good. c3 was played. Knight takes a2. c2. c3 move was not necessary in this position. After simple rook b2, black is easily winning. But Kasparov went c3, knight takes a2, c2, and now queen d4. Well, obviously this, when you have pieces played like knight on a2 and b1, you cannot expect anything good happen to you. C takes d and king takes d1. And here knight d to c5. Now this is great move. Since white, you may think that since white king is in the center and we have queens on the board, so you have, and black is pawn down, you may want to go for checkmate and you will not want to exchange queens. But after knight d to c5, black's attack is very, very strong even without queens on the board. Queen takes d8 was played, rook takes d8, king c2, and now knight f2. Now this move creates mating threat, and in this mating net, and in this position Karpov resigned because rook has to move, and if rook moves then bishop f5 leads to a mate. Well, for example, on king c1 or king b2 there is knight d1 followed by knight takes b3 checkmate, and there is no defense. White is not developed. White's king is in grave danger. White resigned. This is actually very nicely played game by Kasparov. I cannot say it was flawless from both sides. Of course, both sides made some inaccuracies, but it's a good example how in King's Indian undermining development may be very, very dangerous. Very impressive, very exciting game, very well played by one of the best players ever, Garry Kasparov.
This is Grandmaster Damian Lemos. First of all, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to receive more free chess videos from us, you can just click the subscribe button below. I would also highly recommend signing up for my free mail course, The 10 Grandmaster Secrets to Dominate Chess. During this exclusive course from onlinechesslessons.net, I'll share with you my own Grandmaster shortcuts to effective attacking, defending, and growth hacks to improving your chess without complicated books or memorization. So sign up by clicking the sidebar on the right, and I know you won't be disappointed. Once more, this is Damian for onlinechesslessons.net, and I'll see you in my videos. Thank you.